Welcome to episode 222. That's 222 forwards and backwards of Clarity Compressed. My name is Paul J. Daly. I will be your host, and I think it's an appropriate week, and it's an appropriate episode number to talk about perspective.
Let the good times roll.
This is Clarity Compressed.
I'm wearing this shirt today. You may have seen it before. I have a couple shirts from this brand. Go Fast, Don't Die is the name of the company, and that's what it says on the front of the shirt. But on the back of the shirt, it says, speed is a number, but fast is a feeling. Speed is a number, fast is a feeling. And that got me thinking about this element of perspective, right? Because to somebody, 20 miles an hour is fast. Actually, if you're running, a human, and you're running, right, 20 miles an hour is screaming. I don't even know if that's possible to run that fast. But either way, I'll have to look it up. I have to fact check myself. But if you're on, like, say, a 1979 CB750 motorcycle, 20 miles an hour is crawling. Actually, the motorcycle doesn't even want to run. It doesn't want to go anywhere at 20 miles an hour. That motorcycle is built and tuned to run, to roll, to, like, 70 miles an hour minimum. Not that I've ever gone 70 miles an hour on that motorcycle. And this element of perspective has a lot to do with the way we think, the way we approach life. Most importantly, it's like the way we feel, right? Speed is a number. I like how they say fast is a feeling, because like when you're, my hat's all crooked. When they say, you know, a little kid be like, wow, we're going really fast. And it actually might be fast to somebody, but it might be very slow to somebody else. Driving, we see it all the time, right? This guy's driving super fast. This guy's driving super slow, and they might be likely going the same exact speed, right? It's all a matter of perspective. It's a matter of what you're trying to accomplish. It's a matter of what previous experiences you have had. That is why when like a really experienced person might come into a business and all of a sudden look around and say like, actually, if you do this thing, in these orders, we'll actually go twice as fast as we're going right now. Doesn't mean all the people on that team didn't think already like, wow, we're really moving really fast. I've never been in a company that moves this fast. It's a matter of perspective. It's a matter of experience, right? And these things all cloud our judgment. They all change how we behave based on our perspective, which is why I talk about clarity so much. Because clarity, as I define it, is understanding where you are on the map. It's the you are here on the map, because then and only then, when you understand where you are, can you gain some perspective. This goes across so many elements of work and life and personal growth. Perspective, right? I once met a man, I once complained about having no shoes until I met a man with no feet. Perspective. One of the problems with perspective is the fact that you can't often force it. You can't force someone to have a different perspective, right? You hear this all the time. Well, you should be grateful for what you have, right? Because there's always someone in a worse position that you're in. There's always someone that makes more money. There's always someone that has it better than you, that has better DNA and genetics, that somebody, you know, someone always has an advantage. There is no such thing as a level playing field where everything and everyone are equal in every scenario. Never. There'll never be an equal scenario. There will never be equality in that way, because everybody's different. Every experience is different. And even in grief counseling and in therapy, they will teach you this. Don't compare grief. Because maybe you and I lost the same exact person. The same exact person died, passed away, is no longer with us. And we could be like, I know how you feel. I lost that person too. Not true. It's true that you lost the person, unfortunately, in this hypothetical situation. But what's not true is that you know how they feel, because they had a different connection, because they're a different person. It's like when someone loses a parent and you're like, I know how that feels. I lost my parent too, so I know how you feel. No, you don't. You're saying from your perspective, you know how that felt, but they had a different relationship with their parent than you had with yours. And so everybody could be driving the same mile an hour distance or mile an hour speed, but speed is just the number. Fast is the feeling. And so this element of perspective clouds and doesn't cloud. It actually affects every area of our lives differently then it affects somebody else's life. Now, we can all rally around certain elements and be like, oh, well, we're doing this thing together, and so we can have a similar perspective, right, on a specific topic, or the same perspective on a specific topic can be very useful, because then you understand each other. You can take steps in lockstep a little bit easier, or sometimes a lot easier, right? We're in the middle of this I'm in the middle of a fast-growing, high-growth startup because I'm just like a glutton for it. I like to move fast. I like to do new things. And you know what? The pace that I like to go is different than the pace that other people understand how to go. I deal with this at home, right? And the pros and cons of this, the con is sometimes I can just run people down, right? Because I have this drive and this perspective that like, oh, we could do more today. We should do more today, actually. Oh, we can take on one more thing. We should. Why? Because like we're going to lose this opportunity if we don't. And I usually think and contextualize the things going on in my life and taking care of the people around me, taking care of the people that are depending on me. I often contextualize situations and like, hey, like 4 steps down the road, if we don't do this right now, it's going to be worse for all of us, right? But unless they share that same perspective, the urgency level isn't going to be the same. And the result of that miscommunication or that, that different perspective on the moment could mean people get burnt out, worn out, don't see the importance of 4 steps from now. Or maybe sometimes I need to stop thinking 4 steps ahead and just being in the moment for what it is. All of these things are to say, like, there's typically not one perspective that you can be like, hey, this is the right perspective. You should have this. You should own this. There are some things that are like that, but most things, like, we need to allow people to express it in their own way, to live it in their own way, do the work to understand kind of where they're coming from so we can have a little bit more perspective on their perspective. Here we're getting very meta. I need perspective on your perspective so we jointly can have a better perspective about the thing we're doing together. So I don't know, 222, the 3-2s just kind of triggered this in my mind. That combined with the shirt that I'm wearing, combined with the situation I'm at in work, in my business development life, combined with a conversation my wife and I had just this morning on like how sometimes you wake up with a perspective on the day, and that's going to steer your decisions if you don't intentionally recalibrate it. All of that, it's just a Monday when I'm recording this. It's just a Monday. And that's okay. If you're listening to this, I hope that this at least gets you thinking a little bit about the perspective that you're approaching your day. Maybe think about like, what is the biggest point of conflict in your life right now? I tend to think it's easier to figure yourself out when you think about the points of conflict in your life more than the points of kind of like victory or celebration or the things that are going well. Because when things aren't going well is usually when we start to work through things. So think about the point in your life where there's just a lot of conflict right now, and that the conflict could be over good things, right? Because you're doing things and you're moving forward. So that does create friction and conflict. Think about that thing right now that's at the top of your list and think, okay, where could my perspective improve on this? Where could I gain more insight, more clarity on the things that are actually happening? And am I going fast, or do I just feel like we're going fast, right? Speed is a number, fast is a feeling. And as we think about those things, right, how can we put a bow in this? How can we tie this together? Think about how your perspective could be off. Think about how realigning your perspective could actually make the situation better, actually make it go a little cleaner. A real easy thing to do is to start. I know, I'm not trying to go social media influencer on you right now. I'm really not. But there is something to having gratitude for the things that you have in the moments when you feel that you don't have perspective. Counting your blessings, literally. And I know. I'm not trying to make it more like cheesy or complicated or certainly not surfacey. But sometimes having the perspective of, I could have it like this, but I have this opportunity in this challenging time. Sometimes that's just enough to realign you. It's sometimes just enough to realign me. And I hope this podcast is just enough to realign us together to understand on episode 222 that perspective is important. Speed is a number, fast is a feeling. I hope you're feeling good the rest of this week. I hope you get more clarity. I hope you get a little bit more perspective. And I will see you here next week.
We came to fight.